Hello, this video is reviewing for the Chapter 4 test about loops. I would have out a piece of paper, also have a computer Chromebook where you can do some coding on it. And yeah, we're just going to do some stuff, get ready for the test. First one, here's a warm-up question. 2 problems with this loop, at least 2. Pause the video, give it a shot. All right, so a couple problems that I see. One is you don't want a semicolon here. No semicolon. You have an opening close. Sorry for the poor handwriting there. You have an opening close parenthesis for a while loop, so you don't have the semicolon there. And then this is also going to be an infinite loop. All right, and the reason being x starts at 20, and then we're going plus plus x, but we're going while we're greater than 10, so it'll just get bigger and bigger and bigger and always be greater than 10, right, which creates the problem. It'll basically loop forever and ever and never exit this code. Okay, on the test, this will just have for loops, while loops, and then nested loops. That's pretty much it for chapter 4. And there'll be some multiple choice, some where you have to write some programs. This video, I'm going to try to hit the things that were the hardest things on the test from past years. So these will be kind of the more challenging questions for you to try. And then there'll be practice tests that'll cover everything. But I'm going to hit the hard parts in this review. Again, I'd have paper out, try them before watching the solutions. Okay, so this one, we have to track the value of I and j through this for loop. And this question is tricky because normally I would think I is just going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here, stay less than 8, which is still true, but I gets altered in the loop, which is kind of weird that happens, but it makes for a challenging question. So pause the video, give this one a shot before watching the answers. All right, so I'm going to track what I and j are because that's probably the most important part of this. So actually, honestly, that's really what we need to know at the end. So I starts off at 0, so does j. I gets set in the loop. Okay, and we're less than 8, so we come down here, and if it's divisible by 2, this is divide by 2, and mod remainder is 0. So basically, if it's even, when you divide by 2, if the remainder is 0, that means even, which it is this first time. So I is going to gain 3, and then j is going to go up 1. Okay, now we're going to come back, and the else isn't going to run because the if ran this first time through. So we come back up, I is still less than 8, so we're going to, no, actually we come back here and go plus plus I first. Sorry, so now it's 4, but it's still less than 8. So we come down here, is it even? Yep, it is. So I is going to gain 3 again. J is going to gain 1. And again, the else doesn't run. So sorry, what the heck? Gain 3. So this should be 7 now, right? Because we were at 4 and now we're at 7. And then we're going to go plus plus I, which will now be 8. And we'll do the check. Is 8 less than 8? Nope. So it'll exit. And so that'll be our ending values. J will be 2 and I will be 8. All right. A little bit less crazy one this time. X starts at 100 while x is greater than 50, minus 1 from x, and then we print it out at the end. Okay, so obviously, again, hopefully you've tried this one before watching the answer. X is going to go like this, okay, and then we're going to hit like 52, and that's going to be greater than 50, and we'll lose 1, it'll be 51. 51 is greater than 50, it'll come down and lose 1 to be 50. Then it'll check is 50 greater than 50, no it's not, and so then it'll print it out. And so I think it'll end on 50, right? It won't enter the loop on 50, so therefore it won't ever become 49, it'll stop. Once it's 50, this will break because 50 is not greater than 50, and then I'll just print it out. Okay, same type of thing. Track x, y through this while loop. I'd make little buckets like this for x and y, and just keep track of how they change throughout the program. Pause the video, give it a shot. X is 21 to start, y is 8. And so x is greater than y, that's true. So we lose 1 from x. And y goes up by 5. So now we're at 13. X is still greater than y. 20 is still greater than 13. So now x loses another one to 19. Y gains 5 more to 18. And x is still greater than y at this point. So this passes the check. And then we do it again. So x goes on to 18. And then y we would add 5 to. So it'd be 23. And then the loop would break, right? Because now x is no longer greater than y. So now we would stop, and this would be our final value for x and our final value for y, 18 and 23. All right, so next up, we're going to do some programs. And again, I would have you try these before watching my solutions. And I'm going to code them up in Eclipse or whatever editor you happen to be using. So if you just want to make a file called like chapter 4 review or whatever you want to call it, make a main method. And then here's the first one. Is we want to write code that sums all the odd numbers from 3 to 33. So 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9, et cetera, up to 33. So how would you code this up? Pause the video, give it a shot. Okay, so I think this one's tailor-made for a for loop. Because basically I can write a for loop through these numbers. Right, all I got to do is for int I start at 3, go I less than or equal to 33, and then I is just going up by 2 each time. So I is going to be whatever it was before plus 2. All right, that would hit the odd numbers 3, 7, 9, up to 33. And then the only other thing is I need a sum variable to keep track of the total of these numbers. So it would just start at 0, and we would add I to it each time. So I'll use plus equals, which again, that's a shorthand version of doing sum equals whatever sum it was before plus I. And then I'll print it out at the end. All right, so once it's done running, I'll print out the sum. So you can kind of check if you get the same sum as me. Hopefully you did it okay. Looks like 288 is the right sum. All right, next up, we have to make a 4x4 multiplication table. All right, so again, I would pause the video, write your solution, and then check against mine. Okay, so this one's clearly going to be a nested loop. Anytime you have like a grid, you're going to want to use a nested loop. And remember, the outside loop loops through the rows. So I'm going to loop 1, 2, 3, 4 for the outside loop. And then the inside loop is also going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the columns, right? And then these values just multiply whatever the row and column number is, right? So this would be like row 2, column 3. So we'd multiply them to get 6. All right, so each time we're going to display that and then maybe put a tab between them. All right, so I'm going to do an int for row that starts at 1 and goes less than or equal to 4. Those are the numbers I need for my row, plus plus row. And then for each one of those rows, I'm going to loop through 4 columns. Do for int column equals 1, column less than or equal to 4, plus plus column. Okay, and then basically I'm just going to system out print row times column. All right, and then I'm going to need some sort of thing. I want to try a tab and see how that looks. Okay, but you probably hopefully realizing that I've done something a little bit wrong here when I run this. So I get them all in a row because I have a print line right here. So it prints a return each time. So really, I don't want to print a return until the end of the row. So this happens for the 4 rows, and for each row I go through all the columns, but I don't want to print the return till the end of that. So this is really printing out a row of 4 numbers with a tab between them. So I don't want my return here. I want it at the end of that. So I'm not going to put my return until I'm at the end. I've gone all the way through the row, loop through each column position for that particular row. Then I'm done. All right, so now if I run it, see if I can get a little bit better looking grid. Okay, it looks pretty decent there. All right, last one for you. So this is one that we haven't done in a while, but there's that scanner that does has next int. And so this one we want to do the product. I think in class we did like that one where we added them together. And this one we are going to do where as long as they enter an int, we are going to multiply it with a product. All right, so this is a pretty tricky one, but there's something like this on the test, and you basically your while loop will use the has next int, which returns true or false if the scanner has an int sitting there on it. So pause the video, give it a shot. Okay, here's your answer. So scanner, I'm gonna make that first, same as always. So scan the system.in. And then I'm also gonna make a value that tracks the product. And so if you could do ints or doubles here, I guess the directions say ints. So I want to do product. But importantly, we don't want to start with 0 like we do for the sum, because if I start with 0, I'm going to be doing 0, 0 times whatever they enter. Say they enter a 5, then a 4, then a 3, and that's going to multiply up to 0, right? So I want to actually do 1, and then I'll get the correct thing for whatever they want to multiply, right? So 1 times whatever. So we actually want to start product at 1 instead of 0 this time. Okay, so now we're just going to do while the scanner has an int. So it's scan.hasNext int. That's basically saying while they enter an int. All right, and actually we should have done this first because this has next int will wait for them to enter something. So I need to prompt them first. So I'm going to do a sysout and say, please enter a number for Q to quit. Basically, that's good enough. I mean, technically they can enter anything besides a number and it'll quit, but we'll just tell them to do Q. Okay, so if it has an int, so basically if we get into the while, it does have an int there, so I'm going to scan it right away. Scan the int. All right, and then I'm going to multiply it with the product. So I'm going to do product multiply equal the number. Okay, and then I'm going to prompt them again, right? Because at this point I'm to the end of my loop and I want to come back and do, does it have another int there? So I'm going to prompt them because it's going to hang here again in this while check. It's going to hang and wait to see if there's an int in the scanner. So I want to prompt them one more time. And then if it does, it'll scan it, multiply it with the product, ask for it again, and keep doing this until the end. And once you're done entering numbers, we can say your product is plus product. All right, so let's see if we can get this thing rocking and rolling here. So please enter a number. All right, let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll do Q. I think that's right, that's 120. All right, and we can see even, I think if we ran it right away, this would be a little bit weird if we just did Q, then our product is 1, but that's good enough. We'll call that decent enough, even though I'm not sure what the product would be in this situation if they don't enter any numbers, but we won't worry about that for our code. So there's something like that scan.has next int or next double or something like that on the test. So just want to make sure we reviewed that. All right, that's all for the review. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.